Next on Relevant Radio, your favorite weekly appointment. It's time for the Nazareth Project. Faith, marriage, and family talk for the everyday Catholic. With your host, Lydia Lococo.
Good morning, Milwaukee. Welcome to the Nazareth Project. Faith, marriage, and family talk for the everyday Catholic. I'm your host, Lydia Lococo. I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad you tuned in. If you have to run out and miss our show, you know we have encore presentations on Saturdays and Sundays at the same time, 9 a.m. But we're glad you're here this Friday morning. I was thinking recently, what we're going to chat about today. We live and work in a great society. We live and work in a great culture. We don't want to be these doomsday naysayer people about culture. And we're called to not only enthusiastically bring the gospel to our brothers and sisters in the world, but also to engage the culture in a way that we are in the world, not of the world, but we have to be in the world. For me personally, that means I'm going to grow and expand what I do, and I'm now going to serve in a new capacity, still working for the Archdiocese. We're still working for renewal, still spreading the gospel, but I'm going to work as Vice President of Mission Integration at St. Anthony's School on the south side of Milwaukee. I'm so excited about it. Meanwhile, I'm going to collaborate with the Nazareth Project and the new director when he or she comes, and I'm going to continue doing radio for the Nazareth Project. That's how we work to engage, and I work to engage culture. The problem is, as we get to know our neighbors, as we live this apostolate of friendship that we're called to, we quickly discover what Pope Francis has said. We discover that it's sadly true, and it's that it's a battlefield out there. Our neighbors, our extended family members, our coworkers might look like they're functioning and doing well, but in reality, a lot of the people that we talk to every day, a lot of us are the walking wounded. We're wounded by difficult childhoods. We're wearing the wounds of divorce or the wounds of growing up as children in dysfunctional families. They themselves, the people we meet every day, as well as we are, the bearers of pain and brokenness and sin. We're all wounded, aren't we? And we're all in need of deep healing and reconciliation. Most of all, we're all in need of mercy. The sacrifice acceptable to God is a broken spirit and a contrite heart. In Psalm 51, we read of King David's moving confession. Through it, God reveals that ultimately what he wants for us is to have sincere sorrow for our sins and an authentic conversion. Broken spirit, a broken and contrite heart. That's Psalm 51, verse 17. We know that Jesus formed his church and gave her the power to bind and loose. So we read in Matthew 16 that Christ formed the church with Peter as its visible head. You are Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church. I will give you the keys to the kingdom of heaven. Whatever you bind on earth is bound in heaven. Whatever you loose on earth is loosed in heaven. So Jesus himself had the authority on earth to forgive sins. And because he knew he wasn't going to remain visibly with the church on earth, he gave his church a wonderful gift so that he would be able to offer forgiveness to future generations. After Jesus rose from the dead, he empowered the apostles to forgive sins. He said to them in John 20, you can read this, "Peace be with you. As the Father has sent me, even so I send you." He breathed on them and said to them, receive the Holy Spirit. If you forgive the sins of any, they are forgiven. If you retain the sins of any, they are retained. Only once before do we see an image of God breathing on man. Do you remember when that was? That was at the moment of creation when God breathed his life into Adam, who was given the vocation to transmit human life. So in the church, this is the good news that we have to get out, right? Our church is more than empty buildings where we have, great music or great preaching, right? We have these sacraments people don't know about. Many Catholics don't even know about. This sacrament that we're talking about has been referred to by many different names. So each name kind of highlights something about it, and you can go to the Catechism 1423 and 1424, but you will see all the names of this sacrament. It's the sacrament of conversion because it makes sacramentally present Jesus' call to conversion, the first step in returning to the Father for any of us who have strayed in sin. It's called the sacrament of penance because it consecrates the Christian sinner's personal and ecclesial steps of conversion, penance, and then satisfaction. It's called the sacrament of confession because it's a disclosure of sins to a priest. That's the essential element of this sacrament. It's a confession that acknowledges and praises the holiness of God and his mercy for us as sinful people. It's a sacrament of forgiveness because it's the priest's sacramental absolution by which God grants the penitent pardon and peace. And it's a sacrament of reconciliation because it imparts to the sinner the love of God who reconciles. Be reconciled to God, we read in 2 Corinthians. The sacrament of confession is one of the sacraments of healing. It's through this that we receive new life, and together with all the sacraments, baptism, confirmation, and the Eucharist, we're still human beings. We're still subject to sin. I'm still going to fall, but we can get this new life, and it's there for the taking. Just as Jesus forgave the sins of the paralytic and restored him to bodily health, so Jesus wants the church, through the Holy Spirit, to continue his work of healing and salvation, even among its own members. I want to share with you my studio interview with Vicki Thorn. Many of you know her well. You might have heard her speak around town, even out of town. She's internationally known. Our topic concerns her work with the reconciliation of post-abortive mothers. But I really think that we are all going to benefit by listening to her and accepting the invitation for all of us to give some real thought and prayer to the reality of God's mercy. It might invite you to spend some quiet time and mental prayer going deeper into the understanding that what God seeks from us is simply a humble and contrite heart. That's all. As Mother Teresa said during her lifetime, we are not called to be successful. We are only called to be faithful. I'm going to remember that in my new job. I'm not prepared. I'm not up to this. Lord, you picked the wrong person. But all I have to do is be faithful in this job. All you have to do in your life is be faithful. We're going to take a quick break now. We're going to come back. And I want to invite you to listen to our chat with this week's guest, Vicki Thorn. You are listening to The Nazareth Project on Relevant Radio. We'll be right back.
If you can picture it, American Landscape can make it happen. You can rest assured that the haven you have in mind can happen with American Landscape. Transform an ordinary yard into an outdoor living space everyone will love. Since 1973, American Landscape has been serving residential and commercial property owners with certified professionals. Go to relevantradio.com, keyword landscape. relevantradio.com, keyword landscape.
More and more people are talking about Lydia Lococo's Nazareth Project on Relevant Radio. If you're a business owner, your message could be airing right here, right now. With 2 stations now serving the Archdiocese and covering all of Southeast Wisconsin, your message will be heard by thousands of potential customers. Contact is quick. Send an email to businessbuilding@relevantradio.com. Build awareness, brand your business, and drive traffic. Businessbuilding@relevantradio.com.
We're back with the Nazareth Project on Relevant Radio and your host, Lydia Lococo.
Welcome back to the Nazareth Project, Faith, Marriage, and Family Talk for the Everyday Catholic. I'm Lydia Lococo, and with me in the studio, is it famous or is it infamous? There's the question. The indomitable, the beloved queen of my castle, Vicki Thorn. She is founder of Project Rachel and the National Office for Post-Abortion Reconciliation and Healing, which has been ongoing, and we'll talk to her about how many years that's really been going on. Quite a while now, right, Vicki?
A long time.
She's also an international speaker on topics like the biochemistry of sex. Early on was trying to get some attention and get people to listen about the effects of hormonal birth control and has been proved right on every count. She's a personal friend and mentor, And Vicki, before we get started, what is your title on that Vatican commission you're on?
Oh, I am a corresponding member of the Pontifical Academy for Life. That's the official title.
And that la-ti-da, so I have to be really, really nice
Now
today.
you have to be really nice. Yes, you do.
Vicki, I'm so happy you're here. We have a lot to talk about, and we have a lot to celebrate, and that's why we are airing this show when we are. But first, I want you, if I'm an alien from another planet, and I have never heard the words Project Rachel. What's Project Rachel?
Project Rachel is the response of the Catholic Church with mercy to those who have had abortions, men, women, other people involved in the family system who might have been touched, friends. It's a holistic response with a network of caregivers who are specially trained, including confessors, mental health professionals, spiritual directors, and others who are there to companion someone on the full journey, however long it takes. It's very anonymous, it's very safe, and it really allows those who have been hurt by abortion to come to a new place of understanding and a real sense of God's love and mercy.
Wow. Now, can you do this without priests?
No. No, you can't. If you're coming, obviously, from a Catholic tradition. We need the priests because the sacrament of confession is so critical in terms of the experience of God's mercy. And often when women have come over the years, they'd sort of been to confession but kind of held back on the abortion issue because they were afraid they were going to be thrown out of the church, because the church has a very strong prophetic stance, and it is that abortion's not good for men, women, or children, anyone. And they don't understand the mercy of the church, the mercy of Jesus that calls us to come and start over again.
Now, in this diocese, when you began working with women and doing post-abortion work, wasn't it true that the average diocesan priest in the confessional did not have the faculties to forgive a woman of abortion?
That was true. It's a canonical issue. And one of the things that came immediately with Archbishop Weekland was that they were granted general faculties to be able to absolve the sin of abortion.
Now, stop right there.
Yep.
That sounds unbelievable, but what you don't understand is canonically, diocesan priests, I don't want to get this wrong, so please correct me.
I'm not a canon lawyer either,
Okay,
Lydia.
but it was quite, what do I want to say? I don't want to say revolutionary. It caused quite a controversy when then Archbishop Weekland said, my priests, when a woman approaches the confessional for forgiveness for the sin, because it is such a grave sin and it is a prophetic stance. But what you really helped, and working with Archbishop Weekland, helped people all over the world to understand is that the victim is not just the baby.
Right, that's true. And that was the important part. And it was one of the sins, and again, I'm not a canon lawyer, so I'm not going to use canon lawyer language because I might be wrong, but it was necessary for a priest who heard the confession to go to the bishop. To have permission to forgive it. And that
so you couldn't just come in off the street and go to confession.
No.
And it was a very frightening
it's very frightening
experience for a woman, and it seemed to be the sin that was the sin that could not be forgiven.
Yeah, the unforgivable sin.
Right.
That was the approach. And see, let me say a word about Archbishop Weekland, because it was his dream that this would happen. He inherited me when he came, and I went to him with this
So you've been here
proposal.
since cousins?
Not long, but yes, since cousins. Lydia has been known to refer to me as the what do you call me? The memory, the institutional memory of the diocese. So that question was there, and it was the bishops of the United States who had called for this ministry in the 1975 Pastoral Plan for Pro-Life Activities, and it was part of their vision. And it resonated with me because I'd had a friend who had an abortion in high school before it was legal. Her mother had arranged it. She'd already placed a baby for adoption, which I didn't realize when I first met her. And after the abortion, she always said, every conversation ended with, I can live with the adoption, I can't live with the abortion. And that changed my heart. Okay. So when I came to work in the diocese and I saw that this was the call of the bishops, I thought, we can do this. We have all the tools that we need as church to be able to minister to women and men. And it took me 7 years to find enough experts. But when it came together, it was exactly this time of year, and it took 6 weeks, start to finish.
Amazing. It's an amazing story. Now, keep going on the journey, because the journey hasn't ended with Project Rachel. So Project Rachel bloomed. It went national. It was the right movement at the right time. I want to share again. I remember it being very controversial.
It was.
I remember the thought of extending any mercy to a woman who had abortion was, you just didn't even say it out loud.
No.
I mean, I can't tell you how controversial it was, how brave Vicki was. And so it went national, it goes international. 25 years later, the USCCB what?
Well, USCCB took it on. Officially. I mean, they'd been working with us all along,
right.
But it's officially an outreach in the United States of USCCB at this point. It's in the majority of dioceses. But let me back up to something you said. It came together based on the fact that I had almost everybody I needed, except I wanted a priest who is what I call the automatic confessor priest. If he walks in the room with his collar on or not, people know he's a priest and they seek him out to talk to him. And it dawned on me one day that I knew who this was, and I went to speak to Father Ken Metz, who worked here in the diocese in the Charismatic Renewal, and he was a PhD counselor. And I said, Father Ken, here's my missing link. It's Father Bob Pharisee. And Father Bob Pharisee is a Wisconsin province Jesuit who at that point was working in Rome. And Father Ken said to me at that moment, well, I'm bringing him here in September. This is the first part of August. And I'm paying for him, which was awesome. Archbishop Weekland had told me whatever money I needed to do this, he would give me, and he was good to that promise. But we called Father Bob because he had just finished teaching at Creighton with Father Ken. And I laid out the proposition to him, and he's a man of few words. And I said, could you talk about this? And he said, sure. So based on that, we did the training on September 18th. And September 19th, which is the day, it literally went around the world. The press picked it up. Now, this is before the internet, okay?
Okay, listeners, that means you're going to have to put your thinking caps on.
Put your thinking caps on.
Not
this
all
is
of
a
you
different
remember
world.
that.
It was a different world.
Okay.
We had print media and we had television, but we didn't have the internet in terms of
So how did something go around the world?
Well, it started out with the Milwaukee Sentinel in the morning. Mary Beth Murphy, who was the religion reporter, had called me at home the night before and said, Vicki, we're going to break this story tomorrow. I had invited her to the training, but we had not announced the ministry. We were going to announce it in about 6 weeks because I had to put things in place. And I explained to her that if they broke the story about the ministry, to this day, I think it was Archbishop Weekland who told her because there were only 3 people in the room who knew, all right, I'd get calls the next day and I wasn't ready. And she understood that, I thought. And so I said, just talk about the training. It's the first of its kind in the world. That's, good enough. And then the next morning it was the ministry. And what happened was the media came all day long to my house. Television, radio, the first thing I knew about it being in the paper.
Okay, now let's stop for another second. This is my only talent that I have is because I, too, have an institutional memory. Your house was on what street?
It was on 47th Street.
And how many kids did you have?
I had 4, and they were small.
And where were they? Running around, right?
Well, actually, I had a priest I'd brought in who was a canon lawyer from New Jersey who was staying at my house.
You made him babysit, didn't you,
I
Beck?
did.
You made him babysit.
He was my administrative assistant for the day because he also answered the phone and let the film crews in. And then he'd take the kids out the back door with the dogs and then come back in.
So the Holy Spirit didn't wait till you were done child raising and had a great wardrobe and an office and a full staff for you to do anything?
No, I was working part-time in the diocese, and that's how
you're a mom.
I was a mom.
Babies everywhere.
Yes, babies everywhere. Small children, which are
really
a little
involved in your parish.
Yeah, really involved in the parish. I was parish council president at that time, in fact. But that awesomeness of what God did, and what I found out only about 5 years ago, was that the day it went around the world is the Feast of Our Lady of La Salette, the Consolation of Sinners. She's a weeping Madonna. And this has been Mary's ministry from the beginning in many counts. There have been incredible things that have happened on Marian feast days, but that one I didn't know until about 5 years ago.
I need to keep looking at my clock because I want to promo a very big upcoming celebration. But I want to know if I have time for one more story. This is a great story from Vicki. Everything is true you hear on this show. I just want you to know I don't lie. I don't make things up because I don't have to. God is more exciting than anything I could put on TV.
True.
So I have this friend, Vicki Thorn, and she has been with me through a lot of things, and I really love her. And she's fun. That's why I like her. She's normal, and she's fun, and she's a mom, and she doesn't try to separate that out from being, on the hoity-toity synod in the Vatican. But so she calls me one day, and I'm talking to her about praying and prayer, and she said, and this is way before Pope Francis. Make a note. And she says, you know what you have to do, Lydia, is pray to Our Lady, Undoer of Knots. I said, huh? I said, Vicki, I have a bachelor's and a master's, and then I was working on my doctorate probably. And I said, Our Lady, Undoer of Knots, I've never in my life heard of, no one had heard of Our Lady, Undoer of Knots. She said, I want you to pray to Our Lady, Undoer of Knots. See here, I wrote this book, or Dolan wrote a book, and he refers to it, and he got it from me. And sure enough, way ahead of Pope Francis, there is a book in the intro where Cardinal Dolan talks about a crazy woman who told him to pray to Our Lady, Undoer of Knots. It was Vicki Thorn. You all knew it was.
Yeah,
so you were very devoted to Our Lady, Undoer of Knots. Then ushered. So I go and I became devoted to her, and I hunt out. You have a ring, I know, and I hunted out the prayer card. Tried to spread it around, and then all of a sudden the Pope came in, and who knew he was devoted to Our Lady? But
amazing.
She's the girl in your corner all the way along, for sure.
Well, and that image of Our Lady of the Knots is one of her untangling a thread or a ribbon, and it really came from a couple who had marital problems many centuries ago. All right, and commissioned this painting, but she. Our prayer to her is just untangle it, because in today's world, there's so many things that are so complex, we don't even know what to pray for. We don't know how to pray.
That's how bad things are.
That's right. That's how bad things are. Yes.
But we're gonna end on a celebration of God's mercy, and that is the title for the Project Rachel 30th anniversary. And you are listening to this show in time to register for this Mass of Thanksgiving and dinner. It is Friday, September 19th at 6:30 p.m. It's a Mass of Thanksgiving at St. Margaret Mary Parish on 92nd Street in Milwaukee. And the presider is none other than
Bishop David Malloy, who is one of our own priests, who was one of the very first Project Rachel priests, and he's a longtime friend of ours. Archbishop Lasecki is busy that night, or he would have been with us, but we didn't
do so bad getting.
No, I think we did quite well, actually.
Getting Bishop David Malloy.
Of course, he knows where the church is. That's the advantage.
There you go. There you go. He's been here.
Yeah, he's been here.
It's $50 a person, and I want to give the website. It will be linked on our website, but it's noparh.org/30th. And it's a celebration of God's mercy, Project Rachel's 30th anniversary. I'm going to be there. Anybody's going to be there.
Well, we hope anyway.
Frankie Lococo is going to be there.
That's right. See?
So it's a party with Frankie. I was at the 25th, and it was a beautiful experience to hear about this amazing ministry that the Lord just raised out of a young woman who was open to God's call and who still is. And is a great minister for all of us, especially this host right here. Vicki, thank you so much for being with us, and we will see you on September 19th.
Yes, you will. Thank you very much.
All right. We'll be right back. Don't forget to visit the NazarethProject.com while you're waiting for me, and we will be right back with Mailbag.
If you can picture it, American Landscape can make it happen. You can rest assured that the haven you have in mind can happen with American Landscape. Transform an ordinary yard into an outdoor living space everyone will love. Since 1973, American Landscape has been serving residential and commercial property owners with certified professionals. Go to relevantradio.com, keyword landscape. relevantradio.com, keyword landscape.
If you've just started listening to AM 1640, welcome to the new station, covering all the counties of the Archdiocese. If you're a business owner, your message could be airing right here, right now. With 2 stations delivering the Nazareth Project and other great shows all weekend, your message will be heard by thousands of potential customers. Build awareness, brand your business, and drive traffic. Contact is easy. Send an email to businessbuilding@relevantradio.com.
We're back with the Nazareth Project on Relevant Radio and your host, Lydia Lococo.
It's now time for our mailbag. Now, remember, you can send me your questions by calling our dedicated voicemail, 414-758-2241. Just leave me your first name and parish along with your question. You can also email me, and I will still get these emails, at nazarethproject@archmill.org. That's nazarethproject@archmill.org. And you can also, if there's anything you want to promote, we're going to dive into a lot of upcoming events. It's the fall, everybody's back from summer, and it is whoosh right into all kind of ministries and really opportunities to grow in your faith. So I'm going to spend this time telling you what's going on around the Archdiocese. Send in anything you want me to promote. You know, I'm your best friend here, and I'm happy. There's nothing too big or too small. I'm really happy to promote it. I really think so many good things happen around the Archdiocese, and no one hears about them. So that's why I'm on radio. I really want to get these events out. So we've got so many great events. There are little news items to talk about. The first thing I want to share with you is the Catholic ID video blog. These are 60-second messages from Rich Harder, our Director of Evangelization at the John Paul II Center. You can visit johnpaul2center.org to catch the latest Catholic ID video. I see them on Facebook, too. There's one new video every week. Share them on your Facebook. Push them out there. Get them to your kids. They're just a 60-second, so great, such a great opportunity to evangelize. I want to share with you our Jubilee Mass. Now, you remember Jubilee Mass is for those couples married 25 years and 50 years, silver and golden Jubilee. And then anyone married over 50 years. It's Saturday, October 4th at 10 a.m. at St. Dominic's in Brookfield. Archbishop Listecki will be our presider. For $40 a couple, you have a beautiful little luncheon reception afterwards. You get cassages, you get boutonniere, picture with the Archbishop. It's just really lovely. So if your mom or dad have been married 25 or 50 years, or if you have, please go to johnpaul2center.org and look for the registration for the Jubilee Mass on October 4th. Number 3, Hearts United. Is that on your calendar? October 5th through 7th at Christ King Parish in Wauwatosa. Those 3 nights of dynamic prayer, inspiring talks, opportunities for confession from 7 to 8:30 each night. Details are, you can go to www.heartsunited2014.org. That's from the Rosary Evangelization Apostolate. Save the dates. November 1st, Women of Christ. I'm going to be there. Are you going to be there? Do it this year. You've always said you want to go. You never do. Come on. Come out there. It's so much fun. It's at the Washington County Pavilion. You can register at womenofchrist.net. Great speakers. And Gina Lair is going to be the MC. I love her. Last date to save is November the 8th for the Encounter Young Adult Conference. Steubenville Conference. There are only 2 in the nation. In the nation, folks, for young adult. And we got one of them in Milwaukee. Are we going to make it a success? You can register at arisemissions.org. arisemissions.org. It's going to be down here at the Cousin Center on November 8th, and we want to see you there. That's it for our mailbag right now. And now it's time for What Really Matters. For What Really Matters, I just want to share with you something you've heard over and over in your head for your entire lifetime, but I want you to listen to it in perhaps a different way. My God, I am heartily sorry for having offended you. I detest all of my sins. I detest them because of your just punishment, but most of all, I detest them because I've offended you, my God, who are all good and deserving of all of my love. I resolve today, with the help of your grace, to sin no more. And I resolve today, with the help of your grace, to avoid the near occasion of sin. Amen. Thanks for joining us today on the Nazareth Project, faith, marriage, and family talk for the everyday Catholic. You can stay in touch with us on Facebook, Twitter, and on our website, thenazarethproject.com. Remember to call me and leave me a message for our mailbag at 414-758-2241. And know that today's show and our past shows are available online at thenazarethproject.com. Coming up next week, oh my gosh, such a great guest, Margie Manley. She's active in women's ministry in her parish. She's a communication professional. She was very instrumental in the Archdiocesan Synod and getting the word out on that. We have so many things to talk to her about. I want to share it with you, so be sure to come back next Friday, 9 a.m. Thanks for chatting with me this morning. I'm Lydia Lococo. God bless your day.
You've been listening to the Nazareth Project on Relevant Radio. Tune in next Friday morning at 9 for more faith, marriage, and family talk with Lydia. And for more information about today's guests and topics, visit thenazarethproject.com.